First of all, I named this book after Huang Tingjian's 7 Miscellaneous Poems, just like this novel, Living in Fantasy. Pokémon has no level or system because I believe that the system is based on the word count, which can give readers a poor reading experience. Due to my belief that gigantism is somewhat excessive, I abandoned the form of gigantism, but retained the Pokémon of the Galar region. Apart from that, there are no Z-dot crystals, and superevolution is the peak. It's not a cool article, I don't feel childish, it's normal, and it may not be in line with the public's appetite. Let me apologize first. The purpose of writing this book is purely to fulfill one's teenage fantasies, mainly for oneself to read, and not to make money based on it. Therefore, the writing is relatively slow and there may be occasional updates. It is possible not to read it, but please do not give it a low score. Thank you everyone. Chapter The Emergence of the New Era. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Husband, has Xiaoming settled down yet? Don't worry, it's okay to leave it to your parents. That kid is quite obedient. Let's hurry up and leave. We'll be boarding in an hour. Please contact the organization again to see what's going on. The report from the Research Institute states that a spatial crack with strong fluctuations has appeared 60 kilometers east of the urban area of the island, Shallow Island, in the East China Sea. The organization has sent colleagues from Aber City to go there. Ming's father and mother quickly arrived at the international airport in the capital city of San Sovo by car and boarded the plane on time. The moon rises higher and higher, passing through wisps of tiny clouds in the slightly flickering starlight. There seems to be a terrifying power in the silence. The plane rose with the moon and headed straight for an altitude of 10,000 meters. Ming's father sat by the window and opened his notebook. Suddenly, a huge figure appeared on the black screen. Ming's father turned his head to look out the window and saw an unforgettable scene of his life. A thick black shadow cutting off the moon at his waist, constantly approaching the plane, and his body gradually expanding. Wife, look! Ming's father's scream caught the attention of the entire crew, all following the direction of Ming's father's fingers. However, after seeing it clearly, a few timid passengers were frightened and fainted. A green giant creature resembling a dragon hovered beside the plane, its terrifying head the same size as the plane, and its red pupils fixed tightly on the cabin. What is this, dragon? A passenger trembled and said. Xiaoming. Come over for dinner. Grandma shouted to Xiaoming who was watching TV in the living room. Here we go, Grandma. Xiaoming dropped the remote control and ran towards the restaurant. Urgent news. On the evening of July 15 at 19.17, the Huaxia KM-17 aircraft was attacked by unknown organisms at an altitude of about 12,000 meters from the ground and crashed into the seabed of China, 40 kilometers away from the East China Sea coastline. After several hours of searching, the rescue team in Abe City preliminarily determined that 118 passengers and 7 crew members, including Mr. Bei Gu, the leader of the scientific research group of the Chinese Academy of Sciences, and Ms. Bai Jingqian, the main person in charge of scientific research, have not survived. This has caused huge losses to the country. The living room was left with only the TV buzzing. 10 years have passed in the blink of an eye, and Xiao Baiming has grown up and is studying at Nobi High School in San Sovo. He is a sophomore in high school. Over the past decade, space cracks have frequently appeared around the world, and countries are researching and detecting them. However, the results have been minimal, while the world is subtly changing. Looking at the photo of a family of 3 on the table 10 years ago, Bei Ming couldn't help but recall the little moments he had with his parents, and then put it in his backpack. Mom and Dad, I will complete your unfinished career. Then he walked down the second floor and pushed open the door to his grandfather's bedroom. He was closing his eyes, listening to music, and having tea. Grandpa, today is my classmate's birthday. I may not be going home for the next few days and will stay overnight at my classmate's house. Okay, be careful and come back early. Don't make your grandmother worry. Got it. Bai Ming put on his backpack and, after leaving his grandfather's sight, rushed to the back mountain where he lived, where there was a large forest. Bai Ming walked along the route he had previously traveled, climbed through numerous ravines, and reached the center of this forest. Then, he walked under a tree and removed the cover, revealing a spatial crack before his eyes. A few weeks ago, Bai Ming came here to relax and accidentally encountered this temporal and spatial crack. After a long psychological struggle and preparation, he decided to explore one of them. Bai Ming slowly extended his hands in and then fully penetrated. What Bai Ming didn't know was that this decision completely changed his life, and even the entire human world. Chapter 2. First Arrival in a Different World. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After Bai Ming poked his whole body in, he saw a huge primitive forest, with trees exceeding 100 meters in height. Before he could shake it, Bai Ming's foot slipped and he suddenly felt like he was falling. Instinctively, he reached out to touch a vine that was thick in his thighs, but his hands couldn't grasp it. In a hurry, he wrapped his limbs around the vine before stopping in mid-air. Bai Ming lowered his head and saw that it was 30 meters from the position of the tree branch he had fallen from to the ground, and even if he didn't die, he would still be half disabled. After adjusting himself, Bai Ming used both hands and feet to climb up the vine, reaching the top of the vine and lying exhausted on a sturdy branch that allowed him to fully turn over. After resting for a while, Bai Ming turned over and prepared to continue moving forward. The branches of these giant trees crossed each other, forming a path. Bai Ming stepped on the branches and kept moving towards the lower ground. Ollie, what sound? Bai Ming was startled and looked around, but he didn't find anything. However, he firmly believed that he had heard it right. He touched his hands backwards and pulled out 2 long knives from his bag. Bai Ming has been learning swordsmanship from a master for more than 10 years, even before his father and mother had an accident. Since great swordsmen all use knives, learning swordsmanship is not a problem, right? When going out, they always hide it from Grandpa to prevent him from discovering it, just like this situation. Ollie, the strange cry rang out again, and Bai Ming cautiously observed the surroundings. There was a sound of breaking through the air, and several purple poisonous needles appeared in front of him. Bai Ming immediately reacted, kicked off the ground and jumped back, successfully avoiding the attack. However, the branch he had originally stepped on was pierced by the poisonous needles and quickly decayed. It's so close. A large red and black spider slowly descended from a branch high ahead. What kind of ghost is this? Bai Ming stared incredulously at the species that had never existed in his own world. Ollie, the spider seemed very hungry and quickly spat out a bundle of spider silk. Seeing that the situation was not good, Bai Ming turned around and ran away. Fortunately, the spider silk was not hit. Bai Ming quickly shuttled through the tree for a quarter of an hour, found an opportunity, jumped onto a shorter tree, held onto it, and slid down to the ground. And the spider, relying on its silk, kept swinging towards this side in the tree. He ran away and chased after it, while Bai Ming kept thrusting through the forest, but couldn't get rid of it. So he hid behind a tree, waiting for the spider to approach and took the opportunity to cut it off with a single blow. Just as Bai Ming was fully focused on waiting for the spider to come to his door, he suddenly felt a movement under his feet and lowered his head to scan. Snake. Bai Ming was startled, while the emerald green snake held its sore tail in both hands and glared fiercely at him. Done, did I step on its tail? No, this snake is not serious either. How come it still has hands and feet? Bai Ming was once again surprised and slowly distanced himself from it. Suddenly, Bai Ming stumbled and fell to the ground, his feet facing upwards. He saw 2 vines entwined around his feet, and they came from that strange snake. The green snake jumped onto him, its fierce gaze no longer visible, but instead curiously scrutinized. Ollie, oh no. That spider is here. The spider hung in mid-air, seeming very angry that the snake had snatched away its prey. So I used the previous poison needle again. Damn it, it's over. Baiming closed his eyes and waited for death, but after a few seconds, he did not feel that he had been hit. When he opened his eyes, he found that the leaves from somewhere in the air had completely blocked the poisonous needle, and he and the snake were safe and sound. Then those leaves continued to charge towards the spider, and the spider in the air was caught off guard and fell directly into the grass below. The snake let go of its control over Baiming, and two vines reached out to lift the fallen spider up again. Its eyes gradually became sharp, and the spider unconsciously trembled. Then, a constantly expanding ball of light gathered on the snake's chest, and with a swoop, it hit the spider. The spider let out a scream before falling into a coma. Taking advantage of the snake's relaxation of its guard, Baiming lifted the snake and turned its head to run. However, the snake fell and ate dog feces. When it got up, Baiming had already run a long distance, and the snake followed its scent in pursuit. Baiming, who was running ahead, saw no snakes chasing after him and slowed down his pace, observing the surroundings. What is that? Baiming looked ahead and saw a supergiant tree over 300 meters standing in the center of this primitive forest. The towering treetops seemed to pierce through the sky, connecting the heavenly realm. Baiming could no longer describe his shock in words. Baiming began to move forward, seemingly quite close to the giant tree, but actually thousands of meters away. When he was halfway there, Baiming found many yellow creatures attached to the trunks of the surrounding trees. Is this a pupa? Baiming approached and cautiously scrutinized. Why is it so big? By comparison, these pupae are even larger than his head. Baiming used a knife to poke the hard outer shell of the pupa, and then the entire pupa was shrouded in white light, followed by dozens of pupae emitting white light one after another. What's going on? The white light gradually dissipated, and a super large bee appeared. No, it should be dozens. I'll go. Baiming turned around and ran away. The bee's needle was thicker than his forearm, and if it hit him, his whole body would be pierced. Baiming relied on trees for shelter and soon got rid of a large number of bees. Getting closer and closer to the giant tree, I saw a hole below it and wanted to take refuge. Just as he was about to rush to the giant tree, a familiar feeling came again. Baiming felt puzzled and didn't know why there was a pit in front of the tree, but he didn't have time to think so much because he was falling rapidly. This pit is over 10 meters deep, but it is not vertical and very smooth, so Baiming did not suffer much damage when he fell to the bottom of the pit, only some scratches on his legs. Feeling that it was not in his way, Baiming stood up and saw a tunnel in front of him. He had no choice but to continue walking forward. The tunnel is not black, with wild flowers blooming on both sides, emitting a faint blue light that guides the direction. Baiming had never seen this kind of flower on Earth before and wanted to pick a few as a souvenir. However, as soon as Baiming picked them, the fluorescence on the flowers slowly dissipated, so he had to give up. The tunnel is still quite winding. After walking for several tens of meters, Baiming saw a bright light ahead and accelerated his speed to reach the bright spot. It was only then that he realized that this was not an exit, but a path leading to the interior of the giant tree. The entire interior of the tree is almost hollow, with hundreds of openings converging together. Giant branches intertwined, forming an aerial corridor. Baiming looked up and saw a light cluster above his head surrounded by the branches. Curiosity drove Baiming to climb higher. Suddenly, Baiming felt a pink figure flash before his eyes and disappear in an instant. What thing? Baiming clenched his long sword in both hands, constantly observing his surroundings, but the figure did not appear for a long time. Baiming had no choice but to give up and move forward slowly. Until they arrived near the light cluster, that figure did not appear again. So Baiming focused his attention on the light ball in front of him, cutting through the branches with his two knives, and the light ball was within reach. Before, Baiming often saw similar scenes in anime novels, which usually represented opportunities and dangers. Generally, after the protagonist touched them, they either gained powerful power or were assimilated into darkness by evil forces. Bai Ming felt a bit confused and afraid of danger, but for some reason, he always felt that only by giving it a try could his exploration make progress. 50% probability, spell it together. Bai Ming put down his double swords and reached out to the ball of light. As soon as his hand touched it, the ball of light went straight into his mind, and Bai Ming's consciousness gradually blurred. Chapter 3. First Encounter with the Creator God. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Bai Ming followed the sound and saw a huge phantom in the sky, about 300 meters high, shaped like an alpaca. And I am on the edge of a cliff. Young man, I am the Creator God of this world, and the humans who once lived on this land respectfully call me Arceus. Why was it in the past? As soon as he finished speaking, Bai Ming suddenly felt shrouded in death, all his feelings disappeared, his body dissipated, his vitality rapidly dissipated, and he died on the spot. After death, Bai Ming drifted in this space, but consciousness still existed, but only fear and shock filled it, and after a moment, he felt his body reuniting. Human beings, please don't interrupt me when I speak. The sense of oppression returned to Bai Ming's body, feeling powerless all over. His two knives fell to the ground, and Bai Ming's mouth, which was about to open, instantly closed. Arceus drifted over, appearing even more massive at close range, with a feeling of not being angry or intimidating. Hundreds of years ago, it was during the opening of new routes that the two worlds began to merge. Although I am a deity, I cannot prevent this from happening. Just 10 years ago, the degree of integration between the two worlds reached almost full capacity, and in less than 5 years, they will merge into one. The emergence of spatial cracks will continue to increase until they are fully integrated before disappearing. But this also had some huge impacts. The life in the world I created, referred to as Pokémon by humans here, grew in size and became even stronger, while those humans went extinct in just 1 year. Even I am not sure why. Similarly, the creatures in your world either disappear and become extinct, or gradually evolve into the form of Pokémon. In addition, due to their fusion, the land and ocean areas will become larger. Alright, humanity, in the process of merging two worlds, I have suffered some trauma and will need to absorb the essence of your world for recovery. I pity you and grant you the status of a divine envoy to replace me in communicating peacefully with your world. Alright, now I allow you to ask me questions. What tone of voice are you? Why should I do things for you? Bai Ming's emotions erupted, and after dying once, he became fearless instead. I'm not even afraid of death, what else are I afraid of? It's better to reunite with my parents in another world. And it is highly likely that their parents were killed by these so-called Pokémon, and they already have a grudge against them. Under the pressure of this bullshit deity, Bai Ming picked up his double swords and pointed them at Arceus with the tip of his sword. Young man, I know your background, and I apologize to you. But I cannot generalize. The fault of one Pokémon cannot affect all Pokémon. Arceus no longer spoke arrogantly, as the situation was urgent and he could only rely on the young man in front of him, otherwise it would take an unknown amount of time to wait for the next person. Humph, what's the use of apologizing? They're already dead. Don't expect me to help you. Only Bai Ming knows how countless days washed away with tears are spent. Kid, don't be ignorant. If not handled properly, both worlds will be devastated and destroyed. You don't want to become a sinner for humanity, do you? I hope you will consider carefully this. Bai Ming hesitated for a moment. At this moment, the fate of billions of people is in his hands, and he hates this feeling. Xiao Ming, what do you want to do when you grow up? I want to protect the world like you do. We Xiao Ming are really amazing. I really hope you grow up soon, work with us, and protect our world. The scene of a conversation with his parents when he was a child flashed through Bai Ming's mind, and he had promised them before. No, I refuse. Bei Mingxin turned down Alzius with a stern expression, and no one blamed him as the rest of the world was destroyed. I have truly verified an ancient saying from you. Everyone sweep the snow in front of their own door, don't worry about the frost on others' tiles. Alzius still had a tone that was devoid of any emotions, which made Bai Ming feel uncomfortable. How about resurrecting them? The sound of the ethereal spirit came from above, and the determined Bai Ming suddenly looked up. What are you saying? You just witnessed my power. Is it difficult for me to resurrect a few lives? Upon hearing these words, Bai Ming's steadfast heart was shaken. Recalling that he did indeed kill himself and then resurrect himself, perhaps he could. I promise you it's possible, but as a scholar, I have more than enough heart but less strength, and it's impossible for me to achieve it. Don't worry, I will lend you a helping hand. The place where you are now is called the Tree of the Beginning, also known as the World Tree. To the north of it is a small river that flows downstream, leading you to a human city where you may have what you want. Alzius paused. I was surprised by the strange thing they developed. Due to the fusion of two worlds, the traces of human existence here are gradually disappearing. You need to act quickly. In addition, the Divine Envoy status I grant will enhance your physical fitness and allow you to use some special abilities. But except for those big guys, they won't listen to you. So. Before Bai Ming could finish speaking, Alzius disappeared and he himself returned to reality. Those things finally disappeared, and those ants never expected me to take the initiative. A new era is about to begin. In the void, Alzius slowly retreated. Bai Ming felt that everything was not real, but the disappearance of the light in front of him represented the authenticity of what had just happened. Then you should send me back first. Why pretend to be aloof, crazy? Now Bai Ming is trapped inside the initial tree, feeling very confused and helpless. Suddenly, the pink figure flashed again, but this time Bai Ming felt that his perceptual ability had increased several times, and he could clearly capture its movements. What thing? Come out quickly. Bai Ming nervously looked at the place where the figure had disappeared. Bai Ming concluded that humans would never be able to defeat any Pokémon with bare hands. Just now, because of a spider, he almost reunited with his parents. Even the strongest nuclear weapon in the world could not defeat the divine beast just now. Sleeping slot. Bai Ming felt something push him from behind and he fell directly to the ground. Bai Ming quickly stood up and swung his knife behind him, but it didn't hit anything. Strange, this time it's on my head. But this attack was not successful, and Bai Ming felt very puzzled. Hee. What sound? At this moment, a pink creature gradually appeared from before my eyes. What is this? The Pokémon gradually approached, and Bai Ming dared not reveal himself, afraid that a skill would take him away. Human. Long time no see. Pink Pokémon spun around him. You can speak. Sigma, hi, this is my ability. According to the preliminary judgment of Bai Ming, those who can speak are either divine beasts or powerful, although there may be some special circumstances. Besides, can living within the world tree be simple? I am Bai Ming, may I ask what your name is? Me. You humans usually refer to me as Dream, which is my unique name. Dream proudly straightens up. Can you take me out? You're really boring, why don't you ask others? How is your strength, isn't it very strong? Bai Ming looked at the cute little one in front of him and guessed that it should be ranked last. First of all, let me declare that I should not question my strength just because of my appearance. Except for those big guys, I'm just as strong as a casual one. Who are those big guys you're talking about? Bai Ming was full of curiosity about this. For example, the god of time Yaluka, the god of space Palukia, the lord of the reversing world Kyradina, the god of the sea Lokia, the phoenix king with resurrection ability, the lord of the sky Lycong sitting, the lord of the earth Guladu, the lord of the sea Gyoka, and by the way, there is also the guy from outer space, Diokias, and many others. Most of them have bad temperaments and are arrogant, not as approachable as I am. Humph, dreams are a bit awkward, how come they count more and more? Recently, Lycong has been sitting on that stinky dragon and running to another world without taking me. I really want to beat it up. In fact, fantasy only dares to talk about it. Last time during the War of the Three Gods, she saw another form of Lycong sitting, and directly pressed the Guladu and Gyoka hammer, leaving her with a considerable shadow. Only then did she realize that Lycong's sitting used to be for him. Alright, let's not talk about them anymore. Come with me and I'll take you out. Baiming digested the information while following his dream. As soon as I stepped out of the cave, I saw an old and familiar snake. Xiao Bei, what are you running for? Dream turned around and saw that Baiming had run away without a trace. Then, using his perceptual power, he found the northern inscription on the tree. What are you doing? That snake almost killed me just now, fortunately I ran fast and got rid of it. Menghuan felt speechless, and flew towards the snake. The snake was filled with awe and kindness when it saw Menghuan. Menghuan had a friendly exchange with it, as if they had known each other before. Baiming couldn't understand what they were saying, so he had to stay on the branch of the world tree. Xiao Bei, come down quickly. The little snake is not in danger to you. How do you know if it's lying to you? Baiming refused. The little snake was my former playmate and wouldn't harm you. Besides, isn't this me still here? It's just curious. When Baiming was considering whether to go down, the snake came up directly with its vines. Tingting, the two-legged snake, stood 2 steps away, curiously looking at Baiming. She was born in the forest and has never seen humans, so she chased after you relentlessly when she saw you. Dream is explaining on the side. Baiming stopped dreaming and asked in confusion. I'm leaving, I sense that the Creator God is calling me. Dreamy with a look of admiration. Is it the guy from Arceus? How dare you call adults names directly? No, you actually know adults. Baiming then told Menghuan about his encounter with Arthas. How can I have an inexplicable liking for a stranger? It turns out you are an adult's messenger. Alright, I won't tell you anymore. My lord is urging me. I'm not sure if we can meet again in the future. Good luck to you. Goodbye. After experiencing this series of events, Baiming needed time to digest it. The sky was already dim, and there was a small tree hole next to it. So, exhausted, Baiming crawled in to rest, and the snake followed closely behind. Baiming slept inside, while the snake lay on the edge of the cave entrance, always keeping an arm's distance from Baiming. Then he looked straight at Baiming until he fell asleep, but Baiming didn't sleep well all night, afraid of the snake's attack. Baiming can also observe up close. Only daring to do so after the snake falls asleep, Pokémon, it's truly a magical existence. Baiming murmured to himself. This snake not only has a green predecessor, but also leaves on its back, a deep yellow V, and leaf-shaped hands and 2 small feet. Due to the influence of world fusion, her height is only 2 heads lower than that of Baiming, who is 185 centimeters tall. So, it stayed until the morning. Chapter 4. Human Cities. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At dawn, the bright red sunlight shone down, and Baiming stood up, carefully circling the snake, grabbing the rope, and sliding to the ground. Following the compass, heading north, Baiming saw various Pokémon along the way. Due to the influence of his divine identity, they only stopped to watch and dared not approach. Baiming walked about 5 kilometers and finally arrived at the riverbank. No matter how you look at it, it's not a small river, right? Baiming estimated that the river was over 1 kilometer wide. Yesterday, during his escape, his clothes were all torn and his body was covered in dust, resembling a beggar. He took off his clothes and took a shower in the water. Baiming has good water properties, and after washing, it swims deep into the water. Bai Ming lay on the river, closing his eyes and forgetting his fatigue. After enjoying the comfortable time and preparing to go ashore, Bai Ming noticed a Pokémon on the riverbank, with white hair and a gray-blue part without hair. To the right of its head was a bow-like corner. There is also a crow wearing a hat hovering above its head. What is this Pokémon? Bai Ming was still puzzled. At this moment, dark clouds had already gathered upstream of the river and were pouring down, unleashing his power without leaving any effort. Bai Ming finally felt the change in water flow and realized that a disaster was about to occur. Bai Ming swam frantically towards the river, the water flowing faster and the resistance becoming stronger. When Bai Ming exhausted his last strength, he was about to arrive. A tree trunk collided with the water flow towards Bai Ming, who was hit into the water by this impact. Ha! Bai Ming resurfaced from the water, but the trunk of the tree was stuck in its position. Coupled with the turbulent water flow, Bai Ming was unable to get out of the predicament, causing him to draft continuously and descend along the surging river. He was hit by stones in the river and was covered in bruises, his consciousness scattered, and he was about to faint. Just when Bai Ming was feeling hopeless, he felt a buoyancy beneath him. After struggling to turn his head, he saw a fish with blue fins and tail, brown body, and obvious black circles under his eyes. It was indescribable. She held on to Bai Ming and quickly swam out of danger. Bai Ming struggled to grab the fish fin and head downstream. Just because there is a huge waterfall ahead, the surrounding riverbanks have become increasingly steep, making it impossible to get ashore. The waterfall was about 100 meters high, and Bai Ming was powerless to shout. During the descent, he couldn't hold on anymore and passed out in a coma. Wait until you open your eyes, the dazzling sunlight shines directly, and the soft and cool river water overflows. It hurts so much. Now there is not a perfect spot on Bai Ming's body, and the pain constantly stimulates his body, but he can barely stand. But not long after standing, Bai Ming felt a pitch-black scene in front of him. He must have been lying for a long time, with no circulation of blood. Bai Ming lay back stiffly. As he was about to fall into the water, Bai Ming was propped up and the fish was still there. Bai Ming relaxed and lay down, feeling that he had almost rested before standing up again. This fish is huge, almost as big as its own body. Thank you. Bai Ming doesn't know if Bakmeng can understand people's language. It's already 14.00, it's been such a long time. He arrived by the river at 6.00 in the morning, and what surprised Bai Ming even more was that this fish had been with him for so long. His backpack and healing medicine were still at the World Tree and he wanted to go back, but now Bai Ming's body did not allow him to do so because even the most prominent World Tree was far away, so he turned around and stumbled downstream. Gudu fish adjusted her position and gestured for Bai Ming to catch her. Hey, do you want to help me? Gudu, the fish swayed her body. Bai Ming lay on her back, caressing the fish scales. Actually, it looks pretty good too. I have been helped 3 times by Pokémon, right? Bai Ming sighed. During the process of fishing, Bai Ming carefully reflected on it and recalled the words of Arceus. Misfortune is not worth it. But there is still resentment in my heart. After a quarter of an hour, Bai Ming saw someone's house ahead. This fish thinks that Bai Ming is the indigenous people here. Not only did you save my life, but you also did me a big favor. Thank you, ******. Bai Ming gently flicked the water towards the fish. Gudu, she seems very happy. Here, we have to part ways. Just as Bai Ming crouched down to touch the fish again, he saw the red wounds on both sides of the fish, which already had some scars. The wound should have been cut on a stone at the bottom of the river when it fell from the waterfall. This scar is likely caused by being bullied and excluded by other Pokémon. Please wait a moment. Bai Ming stood up in pain and ran laboriously towards a house behind him. Is anyone there? Bai Ming knocked on the door, even though he knew there could be no one here, he still wanted to give it a try. If someone managed to survive by relying on some strange device and forced their way into a house, they might just give you a shot like a country in their own world, and you'll have to lose it for free. After confirming that there was no one around, I prepared to use a knife to cut off the lock of the wooden door and habitually touched my waist, but it was empty. I forgot, the knife is still on it. How can I open it? If the main entrance doesn't work, then find another way. Bai Ming walked around the house and found a grassland and a small mountain surrounded by a fence behind the house. However, there was a large gap in the fence, which should have been the habitat of the Pokémon that humans raised here before. Due to the extinction of humans, Pokémon escaped. Fortunately, the back door of the house was open, and Bai Ming struggled to climb over a high fence and walked in. Inside was actually a laboratory with various unknown instruments placed inside, and the walls were also covered with drawings. Bai Ming took out a few pieces that he thought were useful. A prop collection, a tree and fruit book. What is this thing? Bai Ming walked up to the table and picked up a spherical metal container. He didn't know what metal to use, which was particularly lightweight. Bai Ming searched through a nearby drawer and found many device manuals. After carefully reading them, Bai Ming roughly understood how to use them. By aiming at Pokémon and pressing the middle button, there is a certain chance of subduing it and forming a partnership, which can increase the intimacy between the trainer and Pokémon, provide limited healing, and can be scaled down or enlarged. The origin is also marked at the bottom of the drawing. Hyrule Elf Ball Technology Company, 3 kilometers east. In addition, Bai Ming also found a product similar to a mobile phone and a stone stored in a box. This product is a Pokémon guidebook that can recognize Pokémon. When using it, please scan it at Pokémon. Each Pokémon only has one characteristic, which is only visible to Pokémon trainers. At this moment, a bird flew into the sky and Bai Ming aimed it and scanned it. The big-billed sparrow, commonly known as the Pokémon bird of the flying family, is the ultimate evolution of the fierce sparrow. It has huge wings and can fly continuously throughout the day. Its beak is powerful, and even if it only detects a hint of danger, it will immediately fly into the sky. The information of the big-billed sparrow is at a glance, and there are even moves. Only the common moves of this type of Pokémon can be displayed, and the inside of that stone is brightly colored, with a black DNA marker. Supplementary figure later, it looks pretty good. Bai Ming put it away. It's important to save that Pokémon now. Flip through the boxes and cabinets in the laboratory, find some healing sprays and bandages, and take the Pokémon ball and blueprint with them. After coming out, Bai Ming pushed the bicycle at the door and circled back to the river. I'm back. The Pokémon was still waiting in place, excited to see Bai Ming return, and spat water at him. Don't make a fuss. Bai Ming put her on his leg, sprayed the wound with spray, and then wrapped it with bandages. Bai Ming opens the picture book. Ugly fish, Pokémon of the water system. Because it is naturally tattered and unattractive, it is a Pokémon that no one will pay attention to. However, it has a tenacious vitality that can survive anywhere, and can live in the ocean and rivers. However, it moves slowly and is easy to catch. It is said that it has evolved to be the most beautiful Pokémon. The introduction in the future should be as brief as possible, so you're called ugly fish, actually you're not ugly and pretty. From the bottom of his heart, Bai Ming liked it, while the ugly fish's scales quietly turned into color. Ugly fish, all you need to do next is take a break, so I'll leave first. Bai Ming turned around and prepared to leave. The ugly fish bit on Bai Ming's ankle and didn't let go. Are you willing to be my partner? Ugly fish did not refuse and lightly touched the Pokémon ball, which immediately turned into a fluorescent light. It was collected inside and shook violently for a few seconds before making a ding sound and no longer moving. New information has also been updated in the encyclopedia. Ugly fish, characteristics, and sluggishness. I have also read many Pokémon novels, and the author's characteristics are usually not explicitly stated. Then readers ask in the comments section or search for information on Donyang, so I will explain that it only appears for the first time. It will not fall into a state of fascination and provocation, and will not be affected by intimidation. Is this done? It's really a wonderful experience. For some unknown reason, Baiming suddenly had a feeling of wanting to stand up and shout, "I have subdued the ugly fish," but in the end, he suppressed it. Baiming pinned the elf ball around his waist and sprayed himself with a spray of medicine. I don't know if it works for humans. The result was surprisingly good, with the wound healing at a visible speed to the naked eye. Baiming rode his bike and in less than 5 minutes, he arrived at the outskirts of the city, where the Pokemon Ball manufacturing factory was located, and now it is empty. The production machines have also stopped, and thousands of Pokemon balls are still on the conveyor belt. Baiming found a bag from an office, along with 7 purple Pokemon balls. The container containing them read, "This product is a Master Ball, the latest research achievement, and has a 100% winning effect." This gave Baiming a big surprise, and he fantasized about sending a message to the young man Alzius next time. After shrinking the elf ball, Baiming packed it all into his bag until it couldn't fit. When returning, a pickup truck was found nearby. Then, Baiming returned to the factory and filled boxes and carts with Pokemon balls back and forth to satisfy himself. There were about 1,800 of them, just because Baiming discovered great business opportunities from them. "I just got my driver's license and haven't been on the road yet. Let's give it a try now." Baiming got into the car, lit the fire, pressed the clutch into first gear, fully pressed the accelerator, released the handbrake to lift the clutch, and launched directly. Woohoo, take off. Driving into the vast grasslands. Flame Horse, a Pokémon with fire attributes. Flame horses are usually very active and enjoy running on vast grasslands. Their enthusiasm also infects those around them, making them feel energetic. Moreover, the flames on their bodies do not burn those they recognize. It's so cool. If there's a chance in the future, be sure to raise one. Baiming suddenly felt the elf ball on his waist shaking, as if dissatisfied with his thoughts. "Don't worry, I only like you, Pokémon." Baiming gently stroked the Pokémon ball before it stopped shaking. Kenteo, a typical bull Pokémon. He likes to live in groups, but only males. For the first time, Baiming observed so many Pokémon up close. The terrain map I saw in the laboratory had a radius of 500 kilometers, and Baiming raced directly to 120 miles. Now it's 4 p.m., and I can almost make it back when it gets dark. Baiming took a long detour to avoid the river and arrived at the World Tree as night fell. Tintin, I didn't expect this Pokémon to have been waiting here for so long, sitting on a tree and gazing into the distance. As soon as Baiming got off the car, she jumped directly into her arms from a height of over 10 meters, causing Baiming to lie on the ground without any injuries. The green vine snake, a grass-like Pokémon, is an evolved version of the vine snake. It has a yellow neckline-like structure on its upper body, 2 leaves on its back, short but powerful limbs, and a facial expression often characterized by ridicule and disdain. Similarly, Baiming took out the Pokémon ball. "Are you willing to come with me?" This time, the ugly fish did not move. "It seems that the owner has had an interaction with this snake before, and I am sorry to disturb you." The green vine snake extended its cane and patted the elf ball, joining Baiming's home. Green vine snake, characteristic, singing the opposite tone, the change in ability is reversed, it will decrease when originally increased, but it will increase when originally decreased. Baiming took out his knife and backpack from the tree hole and was about to return to his own world when he suddenly remembered the space crack on the tree. How could this truck of things be transported? The Pokémon ball could only be stored. Just as Baiming was struggling to make the decision to abandon these, a dream came. "Well, this is something I picked up from a research institute while playing in the human city. It can hold a lot of things, and you owe me another favor. Dream is holding a ring. So you Don't think about it, this divine beast won't come with you. I still have to protect the world tree. Goodbye then. Baiming felt a bit embarrassed when he saw that he had been exposed. Next time you come and play with me, I'm too bored to be alone. Definitely. Baiming also released the green vine snake to bid farewell to Dream. Tingting, Baiming took out his picture book and scanned Dreamland. No information on this Pokémon. It's indeed a divine beast. Are you taking photos for me? That's right. Then you need to take a better picture for me. Baiming took advantage of Meng Huan's lack of attention and put away the picture book. He took out his camera and took a group photo with Meng Huan. Baiming put everything into the ring, dressed lightly, and explored the original path to reach the crack in the space. Baiming no longer has the fear of facing the unknown. Take a step forward. Boom boom. Baiming looked up at the sky and saw two military helicopters approaching. Chapter 5. Returning to Reality. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Damn it, hurry up and run. The helicopter didn't notice Baiming at all. Baiming slid down the mountain along a path in the forest, covered by trees. It seems that this spatial crack has still been discovered, and there will be no chance to come here in the future. Baiming finally turned his head and quickly landed an armed helicopter, surrounded by more than a dozen soldiers with guns one after another. Baiming ran back home. I'm back. Xiaoming has returned, hasn't he encountered any danger? Grandpa was worried and asked. No, there isn't. Baiming was a bit surprised. How could Grandpa ask such a question? Don't go out if you have nothing to do these days. It's quite dangerous outside now. Got it, Grandpa. Baiming felt strange, but didn't think much and quickly went upstairs. I'm exhausted. Baiming collapsed directly on the bed, climbing trees and swimming. When I opened my phone, WeChat was about to explode. Are you at home, Baiming? I have something to talk to you about, Baiming. Is something wrong? It's okay, I went to my friend's house for my birthday and just came back. I'll talk to you later. This is Mu Yun, a junior high school student of Baiming. His grandfather Mu Chuxing is currently the second in command of the National Assembly. Baiming opens the headline. Pandas in Weiyang district smashed glass and injured onlookers with bamboo. A red tiger appears in the Maple City forest. Who dares to believe it? The mouse can discharge electricity. Suspected appearance of a flying dragon in the area of San Suawa. What is this all about? Baiming suspects that today is April Fool's Day. But I glanced at the date, July 17th. Baiming remembered the words of Arceus. The creatures in your world will also assimilate accordingly. By the way. Baiming hurriedly arrived at the window, and sure enough, the cage had already fallen apart. 2 months ago, Baiming picked up a small bird in the snow, named Yu, and raised it at home. He developed feelings for it and couldn't help feeling sad when he saw an empty cage. I didn't expect it to change so quickly, it's really a headache. Baiming placed his hands on his hips and sighed. Bobo, Bobo. At this moment, there were a few bird calls outside the house. Baiming opened the glass door and arrived at the balcony, where a large bird stopped on the fence. Bobo, usually a bird Pokémon from the flying genre. Although it has a gentle temperament and does not like to fight, if it is attacked casually, it will be strongly counterattacked by it. Are you? EU. Bobo nodded as if he could understand human language. Baiming looked at the obedient big bird in front of him, even his own pet remained vigilant. By the way, didn't Arceus give me a special ability, just to try water? According to the guidance of Arceus, Baiming closed his eyes, relaxed his mind and body, and felt the power with his spirit. In the dark and misty atmosphere, Baiming saw countless fluorescents constantly converging towards his heart, and the meridians on his limbs connected to his heart, continuously delivering energy. Baiming exhaled a breath, and the energy quickly spread around. In just a few breaths, a topographic map of the entire protected area was generated in his brain. WDF. Number 34, the powerful shock ability of Biming can clearly perceive every move of creatures in the field. In amazement, Biming refocused his gaze on Bobo, feeling inexplicably that his connection with him seemed deeper. Is that okay then? Biming tried to touch its head with his hand, but EU did not avoid it. Instead, he actively pressed his outstretched hand. Biming became bolder and learned how to raise eagles. He raised his arms and EU understood the meaning. He jumped onto Biming's forearm and let him touch him. At this moment, Bobo's whole body was filled with fluorescence. Is this evolution? The fluorescence dissipated, and EU's body became huge, standing 1.3 meters tall. Biming's arms were no longer heavy enough, so he placed it on the ground. What's that? I'll skip introducing unimportant Pokémon in the future. BB Bird, characteristics, sharp gaze, hit rate will not be reduced, you've become handsome, EU. BB, let's take a look at other partners, get to know each other and don't fight. Biming also released the green vine snake and the ugly fish. The ugly fish was too big, so he put her in the swimming pool on the second floor. The place where Biming lives is a villa area called Fengguali. Zai district covers an area of 10,000 square kilometers, with 99% of it falling under the category of nature reserves, while Fengguali only has 10 square kilometers. The people living here are not wealthy, only nobles, and they are all high ranking officials, with the lowest ranking being at the city level. Biming's ability to live here is entirely due to the blessings of his parents and grandfather. Both parents have made great contributions to the country, and his grandfather was the previous second in command of the parliament. The weather is hot now, and just after exercising, his body feels sticky. So Biming took off his clothes and entered the swimming pool. However, the green vine snake couldn't swim, so he placed her on the swimming ring. The green vine snake lay on the swimming ring and played with the ugly fish, while the BB bird circled in the sky. Comfortable. Tingten, Gudu, Piu, come down. Biming waved at BB bird, who landed by the pool. Biming pulled out the Pokémon ball. Although he has been with the BB bird for a few months and can be considered its owner, everything has changed now, so we still need to ask for his opinion. Are you willing to continue being with me, EU? BB EU stretched his wings and let out a loud cry as a sign of agreement. Biming pressed the Pokémon ball to retrieve the BB bird, just like the green vine snake before. After shaking the Pokémon ball for a few seconds, it stopped moving. Biming released EU. Let's adapt to our new body. The BB bird flapped its wings and flew high into the depths of the forest. What's going on? Biming finally had free time to chat with Muyun. The day before yesterday, Sia and I came to your house. You were not here, so we went to ask your grandfather and said that you went to your classmate's house for your birthday. This year trick, you haven't had a good relationship with you since you were young, except for the two of us. Moreover, I witnessed you running back to the mountain with my own eyes. Which of your classmates lives in the forest? You'd better be honest and explain why you went these past few days. Since his parents crashed, Biming has become less cheerful than before. He is quiet and reserved in school, with only Mu Yun and Bai Xia as his playmates from childhood to adulthood. Do you remember the little snow leopard we picked up 5 years ago? The three of us raised it for over a year and then put it back in the snow mountain. Yesterday, I saw it on the balcony with a few cubs. I wanted to take some photos, but I followed it too far and got lost. If it weren't for the snow leopard's mother picking up a few pieces of raw meat for me, I wouldn't have starved to death. Don't talk nonsense, your answer is full of loopholes. First of all, you are not someone who carries a lighter with you. The high cold and lack of oxygen combined with winter snow make the branches damp. Where did you get the fire? Secondly, in this protected area, we have been following the patrol team for countless rounds, and even if we close our eyes, we can still find it. How could you get lost? Finally, a photo of the snow leopard was sent, and I believed it. Faced with Mu Yun's analysis, Bei Ming was unable to refute it for a while. Since you don't want us to know, I won't ask. Who doesn't have their own secret yet? To Bei Ming's surprise, Mu Yun actually let go. But remember, if you have any difficulties, just let us know and don't hold it back. Well, I got it. Ah, what should I do? Bai Ming didn't know how to explain to them, so he could only take a step and see. Bai Ming climbed up from the edge of the pool and thought about countermeasures. A person's strength is never enough. The situation is urgent now, we can only do this. Bai Ming pondered for a moment. Chapter 6. The Eve of Reform. You are listening at novelfull.audio. But it's useless for us to discuss, we can't decide the direction of the matter. Who says it's useless? Isn't our country a rural country? Isn't opportunity right in front of us? Are you talking about using connections? I'm glad you're still a servant of an official family. No, absolutely not. If my grandfather finds out, he will definitely punish me according to family rules. Although I know it's not right to do this, and I also strongly dislike it, the only choice we have before us is this one. This is a national matter that concerns the survival of humanity and cannot be played with. We have to do this, we must do this, and we will do everything we can to complete it. Mu Yun felt a bit confused when Bai Ming shouted at him, and he paused for a while. I know now, I will do my best. No need, just take me to see Grandpa Shepherd now. Believe me, I have the ability to persuade him. Okay, but I have to go too. That. See ya, please stay at home and let me know through WeChat when Uncle Bai returns. Well, okay. Bai Ming didn't see it, but Bai Sia's eyes showed a hint of disappointment. By the way, Mu Yun, come over here and I'll teach you something. You can say this later. What the hell, you've watched too much anime, can you handle it? Hey, believe me, that's right. There is no Pokémon anime in this world. The two of them arrived at the entrance of Mu Yun's house and did not see the old man after entering. Xiao Yun, Xiao Ming, are you here to find the old man? He just left and said he went to Fang's hometown for a meeting. A servant on the second floor said. Thank you, Aunt Li. The two Baimu people wandered back and forth to Fang's hometown. Fang Lao, Huang Tingjian, the highest leader of the National Assembly, led China from decline to revival and then to prosperity, and was a legendary figure in Chinese history. The term old in this article is a respectful title, not an elderly person. Mu Yun walked up to the door and pressed the doorbell, and soon a sound came out. Who? Me, Mu Yun. What are you doing here? Uncle Wang, I have something important to talk to Grandpa Fang. Please open the door. The person answering is Mr. Fang's personal bodyguard. No, Mr. Fang is in a meeting and cannot enter now. Mu Yun heard Uncle Wang's refusal and stopped asking. Failed, let's come back tomorrow. Bai Ming is at a loss. Not only is his relationship unfamiliar, but he is also not in official reporting work, so he will definitely not be able to enter. Just as the two turned around and walked away, another voice came out. Xiao Wang, who is outside the door? Mr. Fang, it's the kid Mu Yun. It's okay, let him in. It's just right for these young people to talk about their opinions. Good, the sound of footsteps is approaching again. You guys come in. The two of Bai Ming Mu Yun glanced at each other, entered the door, and entered the reception hall. Several elderly people sat at the table discussing, but stopped talking when they saw the two of them come in. Xiao Yun is here, who is this? This is my classmate, Bai Ming, who also lives here. He is the grandson of Grandpa Bayan and the son of Uncle Begu. It's not surprising that these elderly people don't know Bai Ming, mainly because Bai Ming became isolated when he was a child due to his parents passing away, so he didn't often walk around and visit. Bai Ming, this is Mr. Fang, the Speaker of the National Assembly. This is Mr. Shen, a member of parliament and minister of national defense. A middle-aged man in military uniform nodded in greeting. This is Mr. Tang, a member of parliament and minister of education. Shun Muyun looked over and an elderly man with a dignified appearance said casually. Hello, little friend. Hello. This is Mr. Qian, a member of Congress and Minister of Finance. Qian Lao greeted with a smile. This is Mr. Hua, a member of Parliament and Minister of Public Security. Muyun pointed to a middle-aged man in uniform. This is Mr. Yen, a member of Parliament and Minister of Foreign Affairs. A serious-looking official nodded. Finally, this is my grandfather. You know him, the Vice President and Chief Executive of the National Assembly. The elderly man sitting next to Mr. Fong looks very capable. After the introduction, he turned his head and asked Muyun. By the way, Xiaoyun, I heard Xiao Wang say you have something important to talk to me about. Tell me, what's going on? It's about creatures that have been appearing frequently recently. We happen to be discussing this, and we plan to send troops to comprehensively suppress it. What do you think? No, absolutely no. Baiming suddenly intervened. Why? If this continues, humanity will definitely perish. Baiming had no choice but to recount his experience again, and also concealed his identity as a divine envoy. Did you go into a crack in the space? Little friend, you can eat randomly, but you can't talk nonsense. We have sent troops in multiple times, but as soon as we entered, communication was completely cut off, and there was no way we could survive. Shen Lao questioned Baiming. How can you prove it? Mr. Fong asked. Baiming turned his head to look at Muyun and nodded. Could you please come with us outside? Can't we do it in the yard? Probably not. After arriving in the mountains not far behind the house. Come out. The two summoned Pokémon, especially those 3 big bugs, which really scared the 7 elderly people. They were also the first to come into close contact with Pokémon. BB Bird, Tornado. Vine Snake, Grass Mixer. The wings of the BB Bird fanned out strong winds, while the green Vine Snake flicked its tail. The two converged into a huge green tornado, causing everyone except for Baiming to wind unsteadily. Trees were also uprooted, directly smashing the small mountain. Big Jaw Ants, Earthquakes. As the big-jawed ants continued to trample, ripples shook the ground, and many deep cracks appeared on the ground. Kuros, Heracles, aim at that small mountain and use your powers and horns to collide. Muyun also issued numbers with a unique style. White light appeared on the corners of 2 Pokémon, colliding with a small hill. The hill collapsed in response, shattering into pieces of stone. The 7 elderly people, even Muyun, were shocked. Fortunately, they were not in the yard, otherwise the house would have disappeared. As people get older, their ability to accept new things deteriorates and they stay in place. So, are you all okay? After waiting for a while, Baiming couldn't help it anymore. Good, very good. Did we continue to discuss? Walk and walk, go back and say. The 2 Baimu followed these elderly people back to the living room. Little friend, that was just. This is a unique move of Pokémon themselves. They can utilize the power of nature and perfectly control it, with immeasurable power. Past experience has taught us that humans cannot defeat nature, so we cannot defeat them either. The current suppression success is only temporary, and the frequent appearances of Pokémon in recent days are only relatively ordinary and weak. When some powerful creatures, such as the divine beasts I mentioned, emerge, if humans continue to take such measures, then the only way to welcome humanity is to perish. There is only silence left in the room. Yeah, that Arceus can easily annihilate people's lives. There are still dozens of gods like him who can easily destroy this civilization, but can we only be suppressed? I'm not willing to accept it. Shen Lao hammered the table hard. No, 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 I have learned in that world that humans lived in harmony with Pokémon before their demise, treating them as humans and partners. Pokémon themselves are kind, and since they can be realized, I think we should be able to do the same. Baiming patiently advised. Kindness. So what do you mean by Pokémon hurting people? Pokémon, like animals, also have their own territorial consciousness, mainly because you have committed behaviors that threaten their survival and safety, so they can only counterattack. There is a familiar silence. What do you think? Feng Lao, who had not spoken for a long time, turned to those few people. I think this has escalated to a global security issue and cannot be played around. Further discussion is needed. Yen Lao spoke up. It seems that the little friends are the ones who understand these Pokémon the most. Indeed, they are the ones who push the waves behind and dare to explore danger alone. What you said today will be discussed in Congress 3 days later, and I would like you to attend this meeting. After all, you are a first-hand witness. If your suggestions can be implemented, it will make our country one big step ahead of other countries. I have one more thing for you. What? Baiming gave 2 Pokémon balls to each of the 7 elderly people. And teach them how to subdue. There is no technology in the world, and that world is so much ahead of us. Unfortunately, they have perished. Otherwise, when the world fully integrates, humans from both worlds can still communicate, which will greatly help our technological level. Today's exchange came as a surprise to Baiming, seeing the hope of coexistence between humans and Pokémon. Chapter 7. Tasks as a Trainer. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. After the separation of Baiming and Muyun. Baiming, my dad is back. Bai Siye sent a message. Got it, come right away. Then quickly ran towards Bai Siye's house. The door was open, and Baiming went straight in. Uncle Bai anxiously waited in the living room. Xiaoming, I heard from Siye that you can only run to such a dangerous place alone. The army is completely destroyed. If there is any mistake, how should I explain it to your parents? How can you let the old man live? I'm sorry, Uncle Bai. I was too reckless, but don't get angry yet. I have gained something important. Baiming took out 2 elf balls and a guidebook from his backpack. This is the Pokémon Ball and Pokémon Illustrated book. I think Siye mentioned it to you before. In fact, Uncle Bai was also angry because of this. This is a space compression technology that the World Scientific Organization has been researching, but there has been no progress for decades. But this kid gave Shiyu 10 at once, not afraid of losing it, and exposing this technology to foreign countries. I want Uncle Bai to study this technology, which will be of great help in the future. Uncle Bai took it. This is a very big technical challenge. In theory, it is an item that should not exist in this era. Even if there are samples, it will take decades with current technology. What about now? Baiming took out the blueprint of the picture book and the elf ball. Uncle Bai snatched it away. A month is enough. Even a fool can make blueprints. How could you become so smart? You still know how to get this back. Xiao Su, please inform everyone in the group to be ready now and immediately. I need to have a meeting. Uncle Bai made a phone call and hurriedly put on his coat and walked towards the door. Dad, you haven't eaten yet. It's not too late to go tomorrow. Bai Siye wants to stop it, after all, Uncle Bai has just returned and hasn't rested yet. You don't understand. The earlier we develop it, the more beneficial it will be for our country. I may not come back this month. Xiaoming, please help me take care of her. Uncle Bai swept away his fatigue and hurriedly went out. Bai Siye looked at Bei Ming with a melancholy expression. By the way, you need to intensify your cultivation of the fire fox and increase your intimacy with her. Bai Ming didn't notice and said to himself. By the way, the fire fox's characteristic is usually fierce fire, when HP decreases, the power of the fire attribute's moves will increase. Here is the flame pearl for you. Baiming explained to Bai Xia the purpose of this prop, which he accidentally found in checkers. Thank you Omega, I'm leaving, goodbye. Well, goodbye. Baiming returned home and found a pond in the yard. He left 3 little ones there for himself to play with and pondered how to persuade those old guys in a few days. Just as Baiming was about to sleep, he saw a figure, completely pitch black and with flowing long hair, stopping at the top of the forest in the distance. When Baiming walked to the window and wanted to see clearly, the figure disappeared out of thin air. One night passed, and Baiming couldn't sleep well. As soon as dawn broke, he pulled the 3 little ones towards the depths of the forest. On the one hand, Baiming wants to train their combat abilities, just like trainers in that world. On the other hand, he wants to find the figure from last night. The speed of assimilation has accelerated, and the vast majority of organisms in the forest have undergone changes. The north side can also proficiently operate their own abilities in order to better train. As soon as I entered the edge of the forest, I found many green caterpillars lying on the trees. BB bird, the wind rises. The gusts of strong wind directly blew the green caterpillar down from under the tree. Use electric light to flash. BB bird transformed into a flash of light, hitting each opponent one by one. Without exception, all green hats lost their combat abilities. BB bird feels very proud. I still have some commanding talent. Baiming felt a little proud, and the green vine snake looked at each person and bird, feeling speechless. Baiming continued to advance, with most of them being unicorns and pyrrhus, and also encountering a few hairy balls along the way. Just as Baiming was resting under a tree, Ollie, the voice that made Baiming so familiar that it could no longer be heard from ahead. This time, Baiming was not afraid, but felt excited. Where? Where? Come out quickly. Baiming wants to shed his former shame. Several poisonous needles shot from the tree ahead. Is it this trick again? Do spiders like to sneak attack? The attacker finally appeared in Baiming's sight. Alitos, the long-legged Pokémon of the insect and venom lineage, the evolutionary form of the round silk spider. Yesterday at midnight, Uncle Bite entrusted someone to send back the guidebook, saying that he only needed to read the stored information and copy it. Give up your life quickly. Vine snake, entangle it with vines, use wrestling. Alitos, who was in the air, had difficulty moving and was directly trapped by vines before being heavily thrown to the ground. I want you to feel my warmth well. Green vine snake, using tight bundles and parasitic seeds. Alitos was unable to move and was gradually drained of energy by parasitic seeds. Alitos felt his body hollowed out. Slash it with one word, end it. The green vine snake turned one hand into white light and sent Alitos to sleep. I'll give him a couple of adjustments for his height. Baiming still felt unsatisfied. He stepped on 2 feet in the previous session to calm down. Eritos. Did I provoke you? Baiming continued to delve deeper, and after walking for about 10 minutes, a bug dressed in fancy clothes crawled out from behind a tree on the road ahead. The speaker cricket, the insect-type cricket Pokémon, the evolved version of the round wizard. The music it plays can express its emotions. BB bird, with a gust of wind and a flash of lightning. Baiming still wants to use the old routine to speed up. The speaker cricket flashed a light and stood in place. Isn't this bug scared silly? Why don't you avoid it? The attack of the BB bird hit the speaker cricket, but it did not fall. The blood is quite thick, it's not a big deal to repair it. BB bird, use it. I haven't received the order from Baiming yet. The speaker cricket leaped up high, raised its sickle, and swung directly towards it. With just one move, it took BB bird seconds. Sleeping trough. No, it can't be so strong. Baiming quickly searched through the picture book. I know now, this speaker cricket's characteristic should be insect premonition. When HP decreases, the power of insect moves will increase, and it used patience from the beginning. Enduring attacks for 2 rounds will double the damage taken to the opponent. I've hit a hard spot. Come back, BB bird. Biming retrieved the BB bird and let the green vine snake play. Now it only has 1 layer of blood skin, take the opportunity to kill it. The speaker cricket made a direct call, hitting Biming's lower abdomen, and the attack power of the green vine snake increased instead of decreasing. Green vine snake, cut with 1 stroke. The speaker cricket repeated its old trick and exerted patience, but its imagined image did not appear and it went into a coma. I almost capsized. I didn't expect this speaker cricket to be so strong. Coincidentally, I lack the insect-type Pokémon, so let's tame it. Biming threw the Pokémon ball and smashed it at the speaker cricket. After shaking it a few times, he successfully subdued it. Biming released Pokémon to get to know each other, and BB Bird also woke up and deliberately kept away from the speaker cricket. Humph, I was careless. I didn't dodge and ambushed an old bird that had just been killed and had no stamina. Don't be angry, you should get along well and not be isolated. BB Bird had to compromise. Cut, the speaker cricket started singing, soothing the emotions of BB Bird. Biming lay leisurely on the grass, watching the white clouds and listening to the accompaniment. As dusk approached, there were patches of sunset in the western corner of the sky, with soft rays of slanting light pouring in. The road was quiet. Biming couldn't find anything on the edge and outskirts of the forest. He could feel many things inside that he couldn't defeat, but he was certain that what he saw last night must be a Pokémon, probably a divine beast. I had to go back the same way. Chapter 8. Decisive Meetings. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the past few days, Biming has accompanied by Sia and Mu Yun to exercise Pokémon in the forest. The Firefox of Sia has the advantage of attributes and props, killing indiscriminately outside the forest and evolving into a long-tailed firefox. Mu Yun looked envious. Biming, when will you also give me a prop? I don't have it here. I showed you the drawings last time and you can find them yourself. On the day of arriving at the parliament, Biming was ready to depart, sitting in the old special car above and driving towards the parliament. Biming doesn't want to become famous and wears a mask. You are really humble, little friend. You will soon become the leader of the times, and we should take care of ourselves. Mr. Fong exclaimed in admiration. At the finish line, got off the bus. A large number of journalists swarmed in. Speaker Fong, how do you view the emergence of unknown species in recent times? Speaker Fong, what is your opinion on the harm caused by unknown species? Speaker Fong. Please wait a moment, everyone. After we finish the meeting, we will give a unified answer, okay? Now, please give way. Fong Lao's words still played a big role, and then Fong Lao led Bei Ming onto the path that the crowd had made way for. Who is that? How can we go with Speaker Fong? He looks so young, is he also here for the meeting? Relatives are not allowed to enter, what is the person's background? It seems that Biming's choice is correct. Fong Lao and Bei Ming were the last to enter, attracting the attention of the whole audience. They were all puzzled, but no one asked. Except for Bei Ming and Fong Lao, there are a total of 26 people, corresponding to 26 departments of the House of Representatives. There is no need to worry about fairness and justice. The ability of those who can come here cannot be questioned by him, and every time the meeting ends, the process and results are made public and subject to people's supervision. After Fong Lao and Bei Ming took their seats, the meeting began. It was the first time that Bei Ming had come to such a solemn occasion. Despite being nervous in the face of so many important figures, he was not afraid of the stage and won praise from Fong Lao. Firstly, the pastor reports on the government's work situation for a year, and finally gets to the main topic. Unknown species, on behalf of the country, I will officially name it Pokémon. This is a proposal regarding Pokémon, please review it. On the big screen is a Pokémon proposal. When I saw the last page, someone finally couldn't sit still. Vice Speaker Mu, may I ask why we need to stop suppressing this so-called Pokémon? As you can see now, Pokémon has caused frequent injuries and unrest, which has already affected social development. Countries are using force to suppress it, and there is no room for further competition. We can devote ourselves wholeheartedly, and our finances can also be guaranteed, right? Minister Qian. That's right. The speaker is Zheng Shen, Minister of National Development and Reform. Let's let this little friend talk about it. He has been to a space crack before. Do you dare? If you dare not, sit down and listen to him first. A few people who still wanted to stand up and say a few words were dumbfounded upon hearing this. Hello everyone, as a lucky adventurer, I feel qualified to speak on this topic. Firstly, I believe that suppressing Pokémon is the worst and most foolish approach. You have no idea how powerful their bodies are, a force capable of subverting human civilization. We have no ability to suppress them, you are only blinded by the temporary success in front of us, and the Pokémon you have subdued are just the weakest ones. I have been to that world and had the privilege of glimpsing a deity. It is a despairing existence that cannot be resisted. He can decide my life or death simply by thinking. There are dozens or even hundreds of such deities, all possessing the power of nature. Even 100 years, or even 1,000 years later, the world cannot compete with them. Of course, what Baiming saw was only the incarnation formed by the convergence of a small amount of energy from Alzeus. If it were the essence, Baiming could not resist kneeling down long ago. They are kind-hearted, independent of the world, do not hold on to the strong or bully the weak, and enjoy interacting with humans. However, they also have similarities with animals. For example, in recent days, the frequent incidents of wild Pokémon harming humans have led to humans entering their territory, threatening their survival and forcing them to resist. Baiming threw a heavy bomb directly and uploaded his Pokémon training video to the screen. In the video, various earth-shattering moves of Pokémon are repeatedly performed, pounding heavily on the soul, and the calm inner world becomes turbulent, unable to calm down for a long time. Only through harmonious coexistence between humans and Pokémon can there be hope and a future. This is also a new opportunity for development, and many new professions related to it will be born in the future, such as trainers, cultivators, observers, experts, scholars, patrolmen, and researchers. Moreover, it can perfectly solve the problem of energy depletion, provided that one follows Pokémon wishes and provides compensation, without worrying, just providing food. Baiming's combination of punches silenced everyone in the city. Come out, everyone. Except for the ugly fish, ugly fish. A world where only one fish is injured has been achieved. Winky face. Baiming caresses the feathers of the BB bird. They are our partners and even more family members, worthy of our trust. For a better future of humanity, we must do so. Pop 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 pop, Mr. Fong stood up and gave Baiming a warm round of applause, followed by a thunderous round of applause from the entire audience. The proposal was also passed with 27 unanimous votes, and the relevant policies will be implemented immediately after the meeting. An elected Fong Nanxiao as the president of the Huaxia Pokemon Association, Mu Chu as the vice president, Tang Yanxiu as the director, and Bei Ming as the first member. The Pokémon Association is a parliamentary agency parallel to the Executive Yuan. I declare the meeting over. Mr. Fong stood up. You really gave me a big surprise. Mr. Fong greatly appreciated it and said without any humility that if he were to take it on himself, he would definitely not be able to defeat everyone. Yeah, it's true that heroes make young people. Are you right? These old men all gathered around. The bold person walked in and carefully stroked the BB bird, and the speaker cricket even took the initiative to play a song. Everyone, step aside. Come out. Huang Tingjian learned from Biming and threw the Pokémon ball. Wind Speed Dog, the legendary Pokémon of the fire system, the evolutionary type of Katy Dog. A giant Pokémon that reached 2.2 meters appeared in the crowd. Lao Hua, why do you have it too? It's still at the legendary level. This is my military dog. Xiaoming, is the legendary Pokémon a divine beast? Well, I'm not sure about this, but it's definitely a very rare Pokémon. I suggest the Ministry of Public Security monopolize this Pokémon and engage in artificial breeding, except for wild ones. It's the Pokémon that I think is the most suitable for police dogs, with fast speed and strong strength, suitable for chasing fugitives in the wild. Biming, what is this? A person squeezed in through the cracks. Qin Hongyu, the Minister of Science and Technology, was relatively young and in his early 40s. This is a Pokéball, used to tame Pokémon. Can you lend me one, please? Are you going to study? Don't worry, I have already given 2 to Team Leader Bai and Chuan of the Research Institute for them to study. That's great, it was me who lost my composure just now. Biming feels that people who engage in scientific research have a bit of that. Leave the upcoming press conference to us, feel free to go home and rest. Mr. Fong patted Biming's shoulder. Okay, under the guidance of the staff, Biming went out of the small door and returned home, successfully avoiding being intercepted by reporters. 3 hours after returning home, the meeting content will be announced online. Who is that young man? He's so handsome. The attention upstairs is wrong, shouldn't we ask why he is there? Pokémon, are you so cute? I also want to conquer it. Do you still have that Pokémon ball? Where are they sold? Same question. Don't think about it, ordinary people like us can't buy it even if we have money. Look at what kind of people have it. In addition, there was a video of Huang Tingjian riding a wind speed dog in the city, causing a huge uproar. You're too handsome. Minister Hua is mighty. I also want it, who has a wind speed dog and is looking for it with a lot of money. Biming has a black line on his face. As expected, due to the significant impact and safety concerns of this incident, Congress issued a city no-fly and no-ride order on the same day. After lying at home for a day, Biming received a call from the shepherd. Hello. Biming, do you have time? There is a spatial crack in the northern suburbs, and I want you to take a look. Is it a new crack? I know, but I want to ask why this is done. Didn't you mention last time that there were many advanced equipment there? The construction of Pokémon has just begun and requires technological transition. I want to take those for my own use. Okay, I'll go right away. Biming went out and swept a shared bike, heading towards the northern suburbs, only a 15-minute drive away. Biming saw that the open area was filled with soldiers. Are you Biming? I was sent by Commander Shen to pick you up. My surname is Gu. A very young officer walked over, looking less than 30. Biming glanced at his shoulder badge, it's such a young major. Hello, it's our first time meeting. I'm sorry to trouble you in the future. Where, this way, please. Gu Heng led Biming to the crack. That's it. After being mentally prepared, Biming once again stepped into a different world. This time it's no longer a primitive forest, but an empty city. As soon as I entered, I received an induction from Arceus. Human kid, how is the situation on your end? Is everything going smoothly? I have successfully convinced them, but it will still take some time to adapt. You don't have much time left, and in 3 months, the 2 worlds will completely merge. Then the voice of Arceus disappeared. Biming stayed for an hour and returned after confirming that there was no danger. How about Biming? Gu Heng saw Biming coming out and quickly welcomed him. There's no danger inside, when will you enter? I don't know about this, the specific time has not been notified yet. Gu Heng spread his hand. After reporting the situation to the herdsman, Bai Ming rode his bicycle back home. Chapter 9. Gradually becoming Pokémon. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Many families keep pets and have not abandoned them because of their emotions. The release of new policies has also put them at ease, and people's lives have returned to the right track. However, the voices of questioning have never stopped. What's Huaxia up to? Peaceful coexistence with those Warcraft beasts is simply a fantasy. Let's see how they make a fool of themselves. Now we should discuss how to deploy troops to suppress Warcraft. It is unbelievable to see Huaxia's approach internationally. After that meeting came to an end, Bai Ming had almost no time to spend with Bai Xie and Mu Yun on monster hunting. He often ran to the parliament every day, discussing plans for Pokémon with those old men. Minister Tang, I believe that in the current situation, it is necessary to let people understand some knowledge about Pokémon, especially for students. In terms of schools, Pokémon courses can be added. Suggested by Bai Ming. I think this proposal is great. Currently, some boys are not at all masculine, while most girls prefer to be feminine. It is necessary to rectify the situation. Pokémon battles can promote students' enthusiasm, but it will take time to train some specialized teachers. After careful consideration, only the students are suitable. Therefore, I would like to hire the students as trainers for a period of 3 months, which may delay the students' classes. Of course, we will provide compensation, provided that you are willing. I am willing to prioritize the overall situation, but could you please inform Mr. Tang about my school? Bai Ming's studies are quite good, always ranking first in the school rankings, and it only takes a few days to make up for it. At future meetings, Bai Ming also elaborated on the concept of Pokémon career and assessment. After more than 10 days of thorough discussion, the proposal was also successfully passed. Finally, it's time for school to start. Although Bai Ming has a task to attend to, he always comes to report on the first day. Bai Ming, Bai Xie, and Mu Yun are in the same class. As soon as the class is over, Mu Yun, the kid, takes out a Pokémon ball to show off. Mu Yun, what did you take? You won't be studying all winter vacation, will you? That's a Pokémon ball, used to tame Pokémon. Mu Yun, how did you come? Tell me quickly. Is this? Mu Yun glanced at Bai Ming, who made a hissing gesture upon seeing the situation. It was the person who attended Congress who gave it to me when visiting my grandfather. Mu Yun casually made an excuse. Do you still know him? Tell me quickly, what does that person come from? Well, I can't say that. Che, you're really not loyal and don't treat us like brothers. Bai Ming kept watching from the side, his eyes shining brightly. At noon, as soon as Bai Ming finished his meal, someone came knocking on his door. Bai Ming, there is an urgent task now. The Congress has decided to bring back everything that can be used before the disappearance of human civilization in that world. We need you to take the lead. Bai Ming did not refuse because only he was familiar with the situation in the spatial cracks. Bai Ming got on the car and quickly arrived at the northern suburbs. As soon as I got off the car, I was shocked. Helicopters, tanks, and armored vehicles were parked all over the mountains and around the cracks in the space. Is this going to fight? Quickly walked to Shen Xiai standing at the forefront of the north gate. Minister Shen, what is this for? Of course, it's to ensure your accompanying safety. Bai Ming is really grateful. With such a big battle, Arceus cannot give himself another set of death plans. There's no need to stir up trouble like this, especially since those gods are actively seeking peace with us. If we do this, they will only think we are provoking and the consequences will be unimaginable. Upon hearing Bai Ming's advice, Shen Xiai remained silent and pondered for a few minutes. Well, let's just let the trucks enter, but soldiers must follow. Sure. It would be impolite for Bai Ming to refuse again, so he had to agree. If there were any Pokémon with too much intelligence to fear the pressure of beaming and launch an attack, everyone would at least not be turned into fish and meat on the chopping board and left to be slaughtered by Pokémon. Shen Xiai turned his head and picked 20 skilled soldiers, as well as Gu Heng whom he had met before, to follow Bei Ming and follow his command. Bai Ming, we meet again. Yes, I wish us a successful completion of the task. Bai Ming led a massive team into a different world. Kid, what are you doing here again? The things left by humans in this world are quite helpful to us, so I am thinking of taking them back and making use of them. Alzius remained silent, and Bai Ming started construction with tacit approval. Listen up, everyone. Now let's take separate actions and try to go to places such as research institutes, hospitals, and factories. Once we fill them up, we will immediately gather here. Bai Ming and Gu Heng took a car and arrived at the entrance of a hospital. Due to the disappearance of the indigenous people, the power supply was interrupted, and the hospital's sensing door malfunctioned. They were about to let the truck smash the glass when they turned around to see Gu Heng taking out a rocket launcher from the car. Bang! With a loud bang, the door was blown to pieces. Just ask if you're handsome or not. Bull batch. Bai Ming was speechless and gave a thumbs up. Immediately after, the team members rushed into the hospital like starving tigers, with Bai Ming following closely behind. This, and this, all move out. Bai Ming strolled through the entire building, and the hospital was also empty. All the instruments had operating instructions, so there was no need to study how to use them. Moreover, Bai Ming accidentally found a book called The Self-Cultivation of Dr. Pokémon. 5 hours later, everyone safely arrived at the departure point, ready to return. At this time, Rada and little Rada crawled out of the sewer, densely packed. Everyone stay vigilant. The soldiers kept shrinking their positions. Gu Heng gave the order, then looked towards Bai Ming and waited for the command. Everyone rest assured to shoot, it's just some mice. Rada rushed forward like a madman, and gunshots suddenly rang out. Bai Ming also dispatched BB Bird, Chingting Snake, and Loudspeaker Cricket to fight, and the situation quickly became one-sided. After a fierce confrontation, Rada's corpses were scattered and fled in all directions, and Bai Ming's side suffered no casualties, achieving a complete victory. The soldiers were extremely envious when they saw Pokémon, and they really wanted to have their own Pokémon. Shen Xiai, who was waiting outside, was overjoyed to see the fully loaded troops returning and immediately welcomed them. How is the situation? Are you all unharmed? I'm not injured, everything is fine, and I haven't encountered any danger. That's good. Now I'll send someone to take you home and rest. I'll apply for a reward for you at tomorrow's Congress. Then please trouble Shen Lao. Bai Ming retired. After returning home, I fell asleep. The next morning, Bai Ming was taken by a dedicated person to a large auditorium where he gave lectures, and 1,000 people were densely packed under the stage. For the first time as a teacher, Bai Ming was able to handle so many people with ease and even wore his iconic mask. Bai Ming didn't want to be recognized during class one day. Hello everyone, I will now provide training for everyone. Please take good care of me. A long time ago, the universe of another world was still chaotic, giving birth to an egg and giving birth to the world's first Pokémon, the creator god Arceus. Arceus then created the time god Yaluka, the space god Perukia, the reversal world master rider Latina, and numerous divine beasts to maintain world order and lay the foundation for the formation of the Pokémon world. Bai Ming began to talk about the history and origin of Pokémon, and the students in the audience were all focused on listening, afraid of missing a detail. Pokémon are divided into 18 attributes, namely grass, poison, general, combat, flight, ground, rock, insect, ghost, steel, fire, water, electricity, superpower, ice, dragon, evil, and fairy. They have mutual restraint, and proficiently use attribute restraint relationships in battles to achieve twice the result with half the effort. Throughout the day, Baiming never stepped off the stage and felt like he was being squeezed dry. Alright, that's it for today. Class is over. Just as Baiming was about to leave, the students below rushed forward and surrounded him tightly. Teacher, can Pokémon only evolve by accumulating experience through battles? Teacher, what is the probability of flash Pokémon appearing in a population? I will answer everyone's questions one by one tomorrow, but I really can't do it anymore. Omega. Baiming walked through the chaotic flower bushes, leaves untouched, and emerged from the crowd. He strode out of the auditorium like a shooting star. Wait one more second and it will explode. Baiming didn't look back and went straight home, collapsing onto the bed. Baiming, how did you feel during today's lecture? It's completely closed outside and you can't even see it. Please tell me more. Muyun sent a text message. I'm really exhausted, I don't even have the time to drink water. This is only the first day, and I feel like I can't hold on anymore. Hard work, hard work. Today, the homeroom teacher saw that you hadn't come all day and didn't ask. Did you tell her in advance? It should have been Tang Laohu who found an excuse to deceive me. After all, the teacher didn't dare to act like a minister. The only ones who know my identity now are you, Sia, and those more than 20 old men. You're still so humble. If it were me, I would have let the whole country know long ago. That's also a kind of trouble. If you all know it's me, how can you live with a bunch of people looking for me every day? It makes sense, then I won't disturb your rest. Goodbye. After finishing the conversation with Muyun, Baiming accidentally stumbled upon a Pokémon forum. Do any of you know what insect-like mythical beasts are? You ask us, isn't this funny? You have to ask Fangbei. Fangbei is the online name of Baiming. Baiming is too idle to help answer. Ganasect, the ancient Pokémon of the Insect and Steel series. Crouching Slot. It's a big shot from the north. Let the big shots from the north come and worship. The forum went viral, with topics like Master Fangbei appearing on Weibo forums, dominating the hot list, and a large group of people flocking directly to the forum. Boss, I have a question, do divine beasts and phantom beasts have evolutionary types? A girl asked, and the click-through rate skyrocketed to the top, which was clearly noticed by Baiming. Most divine beasts do not have an evolutionary type, only a very small number can evolve into Cosmom, such as the superpower Cosmigu. Cosmom has two evolutionary paths, which can evolve into Salgario and Lunayara. Although most divine beasts do not have an evolutionary type, they have various forms such as origin, primitive regression, fusion, and superevolution. Learned. Crazy screen swiping. Did you remember it? Xiao Wu. Alright. The shepherd rushed over upon hearing the news, and Director Wu of the nearby Pokémon Research Institute, not yet built, was copying. Return to the forum. Boss, how many divine beasts and phantom beasts are there? Well, I'm not sure about that. There are about 100 of them, and the quantity is uncertain, but regardless of which one is very rare. The author is also not sure, there are too many online discussions. Boss, can Pokémon only evolve by accumulating experience through battles? Upon seeing this familiar question, Baiming guessed that she was the student listening to today. What Baiming doesn't know is that there are still many such students hidden in the forum. There are many ways for Pokémon to evolve, but increasing combat experience and intimacy through battles is the main way. In addition, there are also ways to rely on evolution stones, fusion evolution, communication exchange evolution, etc. If you don't want your Pokémon to evolve, you can let them carry the item unchanging stones. Because Baiming still needs to give a lecture tomorrow, he was left offline after a group of netizens worked hard to persuade him. Chapter 10. Further development of Pokémon business. You are listening at novelfull.audio. With everyone's joint efforts, the teaching task of Baiming was completed in less than a month, and the next step is the assessment. Ming didn't have the energy to look at them one by one, so he assigned them to other examiners. The examiners selected according to Ming's standards, working day and night, and completed everything in a month. Only 200 teachers met the requirements. Everyone present is an elite who stands out from 1,000 people. I have high hopes for you and hope that in the future, you can selflessly impart the knowledge you have learned to your students and create a new generation. Your contributions will not be buried, and history will always remember you. Ming imitated the appearance of the principal's speech, inspiring the teachers. It turns out that being a principal is so enjoyable, pointing fingers at teachers and classmates, and they dare not complain openly. There was thunderous applause in the audience. As soon as Ming left, Tang Lao called. Xiaoming, you don't have to wait until the future. Congress has decided to make the Pokemon assessment an optional exam for this year's college entrance examination, and teachers will soon be assigned to teach or train new teachers in various regions. Also, Congress has unanimously agreed to award you the title of Pokemon Pioneer as a reward, which has many privileges and can provide you with many conveniences. Thank you, Mr. Tang. In addition, the Pokemon League has decided to hold a Pokemon Youth Cup competition against high school seniors in early May, 1 month later. Players who enter the national competition will be eligible for a walk. Is it unclear whether this is offering benefits to Ming? I dare not say that I will win the championship. What if there are any demons, but there will definitely be no problem entering the national competition. Got it, Tang Lao, goodbye. After hanging up on the other side of Ming, open the forum. The boss is online, please notify the others. It's not in vain that I've been squatting here all day. Catch. Good evening everyone. Ming eagerly awaits questions from netizens. Boss, how old are you this year? Ming didn't expect netizens to stop asking Ming, so he turned to ask him. Below 25. Are you so young? What sports do big shots like? Football. I also like football. Ming doesn't believe it, how could so many young fans emerge? I like cars. This is how Ming tests the authenticity of fans. As expected, 99% of the netizens who spoke disappeared. Alright, you can ask me some questions about Pokemon now. Boss, could you tell us about your adventure experience? No way. Ming refused. Why? Because I'm too lazy to type. Netizens are speechless, hashtag. Ming also finds it difficult to refute the interests of netizens. I'll send a video when I have time. Okay. Boss, take a look here. Can you explain the ignition characteristics? Ignite. When attacked by fire attribute moves, absorb flames and your own fire attribute moves will become stronger. Is Ibrahimovic only having 3 evolutionary forms? Isn't it with 18 attributes? At present, there are 8 evolutionary forms of Ibrahim that I know of, including electricity, water, fire, ice, grass, evil, superpowers, and fairies, which can evolve through evolution stones and intimacy, respectively. How many states will Pokemon fall into during battles? Poisoning, sleep, paralysis, burns, and freezing, and cannot coexist simultaneously. After Ming went offline, he went straight to bed. At sunrise, the mist and dew remain, and the green pine trees bathe like cream. The next morning, the black sky gradually faded, and the air was still filled with the fragrance of night. The two of them walked on a narrow road. What do you want to do in the future? Do I want to win the championship of this Pokemon competition and become a Pokemon master in the future? What about you? The future is promising, Muyun. You are much stronger than me, and I just want to be an ordinary Pokemon trainer. Are you really willing? After pondering for a long time, Ming. I haven't figured it out yet. Ming and Muyun walked shoulder to shoulder towards the school. What they didn't know was that this conversation became a pain. Baiming returned to his long-lost campus and enjoyed the last few months of high school. So Baiming spent a leisurely week. Have you heard that there will be Pokémon teachers coming to the school today? Really? That's great. Early in the morning, there were girls chatting. Why haven't I heard about it? Baiming thought to himself. Everyone, sit still. Let me introduce our new teacher, Teacher E, who specializes in teaching Pokémon. We warmly welcome her. The homeroom teacher came in as a teacher, followed by a tall and beautiful female teacher. All the boys in the class are aligned. Why haven't I seen it? There must be too many people and I haven't seen it. Baiming stared at her and thought to himself. Hello everyone, my name is Yiman and I'm 20 years old. Some of my classmates may be surprised because I started college at the age of 16. Let's cheer each other on for the next 2 months. Classmates didn't expect that Teacher E was still a top student. Oh ho, welcome. Some boys started barking ghosts. This class happened to be a Pokémon class, and Baiming was not interested in listening. He didn't want his students to return the knowledge he had taught, so he went out through the back door. Tang Lao greeted the homeroom teacher in advance and asked Baiming to do whatever he wanted. The homeroom teacher was also free. Who wants Baiming to study well and still attend top universities without listening to the class? Yiman also noticed Baiming, but did not recognize him because Baiming never took off his mask during lectures, and who would believe that Fang Bei would be a high school student. Does anyone know what that classmate did just now? Teacher, he is sick and goes to the hospital every week for this class. Muyun stood up and helped Baiming with the aftermath. It's a pity that teachers are scarce now, and each class only has 1 class per week, so he can't even attend. Yiman and the whole class are feeling sorry for Baiming, except for Muyun and Baixia. It's April now, and a month later it's the Pokémon competition. As early as March, students began to train independently, in order to get the few recommended spots and rewards. Later on, Baiming simply stopped coming to school and stayed in the forest all day, focusing on training. After all, everyone has a dream of becoming a champion. One day, Baiming went to the outskirts of the forest as usual for training. At the end, he heard the sound of fighting not far away and approached to observe. An Ibrahimovic was engaged in battle with a circular bear, and it was clear that Ibrahimovic was at a disadvantage, exhausted. Why do the inner circle bears appear here? Baiming wants to help, but he simply can't stand bullying the weak. BB bird, the wind rises. Baiming wanted to use the wind to block the circle bear from approaching Ibu, but the effect was not satisfactory. The circle bear seemed to have been provoked and accelerated towards it. The bear's paw lit up with white light, and it slapped Ibu. Baiming knew that with this slap, Ibu had no chance of survival. The bear paw moved away, leaving only flesh and blood blurred. Baiming also saw such a cruel scene for the first time and felt a wave of turmoil in his stomach. Baiming is aware of his own strength, and besides, this circle bear has already turned red in the eye. Even if 3 Pokémon play together, they may not be able to win. The bear in the circle roared and charged towards Baiming. Run quickly. Baiming knew that pretending to be dead was definitely useless. Before he could retrieve Pokémon, he grabbed the green vine snake and the speaker cricket and ran away, leaving the BB bird to attack in the sky. The surroundings are relatively open, and the circle bears accelerate too quickly in a straight line. Baiming can only keep circling around. While running away, I saw an egg in the tree hole. I just said, why isn't that Ibrahimovic not afraid of death? The average one ran away early. Baiming just saw it, and the characteristic of this Ibu is to escape. It can definitely escape from the wild Pokémon. Baiming took advantage of the circle bear not catching up, wrapped it in clothes, and draped it over his shoulder. Roar! The circle bear had already caught up, and Baiming didn't have time to escape. He threw the green vine snake and the speaker cricket up the tree and climbed up himself. Before Baiming could enjoy the joy of surviving the disaster, he saw the bear in the circle slapping the big tree. Click. A crisp sound came from below. The big tree was cut off by the waist, and the northern inscription leaned against the tree and fell backwards. The green vine snake wraps its vines around the nearby tree. Before the tree completely collapsed, Baiming safely landed on the ground holding a green vine snake. BB bird, using feather dance. Speaker cricket, using call. Baiming did not use singing, sleep, because the characteristic of circle bear is perseverance. If it becomes abnormal, it will exert perseverance and increase attack, which will only put himself in a more passive situation. Double debuff stacking. Although the green vine snake resisted the circle bear's blow hard, it was also on the verge of collapse. The green vine snake is charming to use. The speaker cricket is chi gathering. The enchanting effect is successfully activated, and the speaker cricket takes the opportunity to gather energy. Before the bear in the circle woke up, Baiming took advantage of its illness to take its life. BB bird, a flash of lightning. Vine snake, grass mixer. Speaker cricket, cross scissors, end it. 3 moves were used in unison, and after hitting them one by one, the circle bear finally fell to the ground. This was the 3rd time that Baiming felt the reaper approaching, feeling weak all over and supporting the ground with his hands. Gradually calming down, he glanced at the unconscious circle bear without any intention of subduing it. Baiming couldn't accept Pokémon, whose hands were stained with blood. His wildness was too great, and he should have killed his master one day. Baiming quickly fled the scene and dared not linger any longer. After returning home, Baiming rummaged through the box for the elf egg incubator, which was his last contribution and reward for submitting the book. Fortunately, Baiming found it, but unfortunately only the incubator. So Baiming thought of the recently established Pokémon Medical Association. The medical equipment that was harvested in a different world in the military last time was all given by the Pokémon Alliance to its subordinate department, the Pokémon Medical Association, with Health Minister Jiang Wantong serving as the president. Baiming directly dialed Minister Jiang's phone number, and last time most people in Congress left their contact information. "Hello, may I ask who you are?" Half a minute later, the phone was connected. "Hello Minister Jiang, I'm Baiming. We've met before." "Oh, it's Xiaoming. How did you think of calling me? Did you encounter any difficulties? I'll try my best to help you." Jiang Wantong put down her work and leaned back on the chair, savoring the tea carefully. Minister Jiang is just as well prepared. "I do have something to ask for. I just found a fairy egg in the forest, but I don't have a matching nutrient solution for the incubator. Do you have it there? I want to buy some. Nutrient solution. I don't have a lot of inventory here. Could you please send me the address and I will send someone to deliver it later." "Thank you, Minister Jiang. It's okay, I don't want the money anymore. How about you owe me a favor?" "No problem, even if you don't give me the nutrient solution, I dare not help." "Then hang up. I have a meeting later." Jiang Wantong hung up the phone, smiled knowingly, and exchanged some nutritional supplements for a favor from Baiming. This wave made a lot of money. On the other end of the phone, Baiming also believed that he had made a fortune. Nutrient liquid is now a valuable but not marketable treasure. In about half an hour, the nutrient solution was delivered in 10 large boxes. Baiming put the eggs into the incubator and completely soaked them in nutrient solution. It should be just Ibrahimovic. The monitor shows that there are still 60 days left, so Baiming has to wait. A month passed quietly, and the Pokémon competition arrived as promised.